You're listening to Granite Goodness, the show about good news, optimism, and problem solving all across New England, proudly hosted in the Granite State. I'm your host, Andy DeMeo. If you've been a longtime listener of the show, you'll have gotten the feeling lately that the podcast has been on hiatus. We've been doing a lot of live events, focusing on our newsletter and social media content, just hired our first ever team member, and have been making some big moves behind the scenes as Granite Goodness turns 2. The format and style of the show is going to change a little bit toward the fall. More to come on that later, but let's just say we're going to have a way for a lot more of you, the audience and listeners, to actually join us on the podcast. Before then, we've got a couple great episodes to get out to you all over the coming weeks. This conversation is from New Hampshire Energy Week, where we chatted with local experts Tori, Kat, and Jackson, who work on energy efficiency, clean energy, and community power. We recorded this at Treeline Outfitters on a beautiful evening in May, and if you have the chance to watch this on video, I'd recommend it, because we did it on the back of my Japanese mini truck. There were a lot of shenanigans, like the panelists maybe getting dumped off the back of the truck. I ripped my pants at one point to great hilarity, which is all to say that if you like the energy of a live show, we have another one coming up. Join us Wednesday evening, August 12th, at the Bank of New Hampshire stage in Concord, where we'll be hearing from business leaders at Luke's Lobster, WS Badger, Treeline Outfitters, and the Hannah Grimes Center for Entrepreneurship about how they do well by doing good, all in partnership with our friends at New Hampshire Businesses for Social Responsibility. I do not plan to rip my pants during that show, but you never know how they're going to go. Thank you very much to Clean Energy New Hampshire and Kat Cusack for inviting me to join New Hampshire Energy Week. Please enjoy the episode, and I hope to see you at our next live show.
Is this an unusual place to record a podcast? Are they not all like this usually? Yeah, I know. I wish. Someone has converted this into an EV, I'm sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Andy. Can you hear me? Okay. Yes?
Long last name?
What?
That's a very long last name.
That's right. I know. Andy, can you hear me all right? That's we got a joker in the audience. We're going to give you the mic later. My name's Andy DeMeo. I run a media brand called Granite Goodness. It is all about optimism and progress and problem solving in our little corner of the world, New Hampshire and New England. So I interview people who can bring an optimistic perspective to some ugly, complex problem, and I curate and share good news stories from around the region. We're gathered here today for New Hampshire Energy Week. Yeah, let's.
Whoop, whoop.
Can you whoop whoop into the mic again?
Oh, whoop, whoop.
Woo!
We're gonna need some of that. Thank you all for coming. Who here has been to Treeline Outfitters before? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know you. Yeah, you're a regular character. Okay, so big thank you to Treeline Outfitters for having us. This is the wonderful patio area. You are allowed to drink out here for reference. They are half a outdoor adventure gear retailer, half an amazing tap room. They do a bunch of community events. I record my podcast there a lot of the time. So let's give a round of applause to Cody and Emily for having us. Thank you very much. Oh, JB, you're standing just in front of the camera. Move a little bit. Thank you very much. Not that you have a very, very nice backside, JB. I want to acknowledge that. I'm sorry. Anyway, you know what? I wouldn't complain. Okay, we're here to talk about energy in New Hampshire. What is going on? So why don't we? Oh wait, do you want to? You know what? I'm not going to give you what you want. We're going to get into the K truck later. It's all going to be explained. We're just going to come here and we're going to get the real meat out of the way. I would like to begin with maybe a 30 to 1 minute, no one's counting, explanation. Who are each of you? What are you doing here? Why should we care about energy in New Hampshire and beyond? Jackson.
Andy. No, I'm really glad to be here and appreciate you all coming out on a beautiful evening to be a part of this and listen to us talk a little bit about what we do. I'm Jackson Gaspari. I'm the Director of Member Services for the Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire, and we are a nonprofit quasi-government entity that bands together cities and towns all across the state to help them solve their energy issues. Second largest supplier in the state, but we also get to engage in a lot of exciting initiatives and projects to move New Hampshire's energy space forward. Why do I care about energy? Well, it affects everyone's lives. It's key to the fundamental quality of life that we all have, and the ways that energy is produced and sourced matters in terms of our local communities and the environment. So that's my pitch.
That's a great answer, right on time. Anyone can speak. I'll direct it to one of you if you don't.
Okay, I'll go next.
Tori. It's a joke. No, you go.
I'm Catherine Cusack. I am our Policy and Partnerships Coordinator at Clean Energy New Hampshire. We are a 501c3 nonprofit that focuses on just New Hampshire and the energy transition. On the policy team, I do legislative and regulatory affairs, which means I spend most of my days from January to June at the State House. And then I do some regulatory affairs. So at the Public Utilities Commission, there are several dockets. And then I do a little bit of small business technical assistance. So any small businesses or farms in the state of New Hampshire, I help them access funding to get their projects actually built. So I do most things at Clean Energy New Hampshire. I like to wear all of the hats. Why am I interested in energy? I feel like clean, renewable energy is a solution to a problem. And so often we talk about issues and problems and we don't have solutions. So it's nice to be part of the solution. And so that's why I work there.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name's Tori Gerlt. I work at Resilient Buildings Group. I'm the director of our Energy Solutions Implementation team. So we essentially are energy efficiency consultants. My team specifically is working on behalf of the residential New Hampshire Saves program. So we're doing energy audits for what we would consider market rate homes for people that qualify based on fuel usage, and also have a large presence in the income subsidized programs called Home Energy Assistance. I've been in this industry since 2014, and I feel like that's also shaped why I care so much, because I've kind of felt like I've grown up with this industry. I've seen the impacts that these projects can have, and energy efficiency at its core is just so important, and the impact that I see in the savings on energy bills and the comfort that people can realize after we do their projects is kind of what keeps me going and what makes me excited every day. So really excited to be here.
Thank you all. Those are some great answers. I thought so. Yeah. Oh, you don't, wow. You don't have to applaud. So there's a secret feature of this vehicle, which I don't want to reveal to you all yet.
No, please don't reveal it, period.
Well, I'm just saying, you can all for a moment imagine that you are like a Roman imperator, okay? If they give an answer that you don't like, indicate it to me with your thumb. You can thumbs down. And if a quorum, okay, classically, if a quorum, more than a majority of the people here, give a thumbs down to me, which you're not going to do because you're all super nice. But if enough people gesture in a negative fashion at me, I will activate the secret feature. And it will not be good for the panelists. It's on a dunk tank. You'll see. And if it doesn't happen, we'll do it at the end anyway. Jeremy's like, what the hell's going on? He knows what it is.
Hold on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we need a little bit of an incentive to draw out the best from you.
Yeah.
A good moderator draws out the best through comfort and a little bit of fear.
Bribery works best for me, I feel like.
Okay.
You could
All right.
buy me a tree line hat.
Yeah, well, we can see you were talking about your heels earlier. We can get you some nice heels. Okay. He's like, what am I doing here? So my whole shtick is, like, we orient a little much toward everything going wrong in the world. We have a really strong awareness of what is bad and getting worse. These things are well covered in the media, and so often that's the lens through which we learn about ugly, complex issues, and that's definitely true for energy, right? So right off the bat, we're going to get into the meat of what I think is most interesting. Each of you has a very unique, differentiated perspective on this problem, and I want to hear straight from you what is a positive thing, or what's a cool thing, or a really good development in your corner of the space that you want more people to know about. What's good that's going on in your world that you think, if anyone comes away from here and they're going to say, man, I didn't know that community power is so optimistic. Like, what do you really want people to know that's positive in energy, Tori?
I would say just the popularity of these programs. I think when I started and a few years ago, I've always said, like, are we going to run out of homes to weatherize, or are people actually going to care about this in the long term? And we're not going to run out, and people do care. And I would say, in addition to that, a lot of the community initiatives that I've been able to be a part of and seeing the community rally together to promote these programs and to promote energy efficiency as a whole has been really rewarding to see. And time again, I'm really impressed by the community community level and the involvement that they can have. We're doing an initiative right now for the Exeter resident-owned communities, and that's been pretty amazing to see and witness and actually get to help lead that charge. So
Could
that'd
you
be-
actually, are you comfortable giving a bit of an explanation for what a ROC is?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So a resident-owned community is what ROC stands for, and it's essentially where all the residents of that community pool together to buy their park. And so that way they can actually have an impact on the decisions that are being made every day. This initiative particularly is targeting the 5 ROCs in Exeter, and the town of Exeter went out and got a grant, and that grant is then dispersed to the homes that choose to do the energy efficiency work. And so that's been really exciting to see unfold.
What's going on, Kat?
I guess I'll focus on legislative affairs work. We had a big win this week on House Bill 221, thanks to Senator Waters, who's here today. One
you.
of our priority bills this session was tacked onto that. That's House Bill 538, which expands in very limited terms net metering for municipal projects. So any state or municipal owned projects is now eligible for a 20-year term as long as that project is interconnected on or by the effective date of that piece of legislation, which is more limited than we had originally hoped for, but it is a step in the right direction, and it has made a lot of companies stay in New Hampshire and to keep giving us a chance. So that's been a really exciting piece of legislation for us this year. It was our top tier priority bill, so it's been really great to watch that go through the entire process and to have bipartisan support around this bill. There were other parts of House Bill 221 as well, and now what remains is to get the governor's signature, which we are hopeful we will get.
That's great news.
Yeah, very big news. It went, from everyone I've heard, it went way better than anticipated. So
I'm actually,
very
I mean,
exciting.
since we have someone who is so close to the action, maybe we can draw it out of them. But I would love to hear, like, what did the senator here do that was so helpful? Like, did he just spearhead it? Like, give him a little more credit. He happens to be here.
As I'm learning in my second year of political work, it's so fascinating how politics actually happens at the state of New Hampshire. And so what had originally happened is, so 538 original bill is still moving through the process as well. It had an executive session in finance this morning, but then it was also attached to another bill in the Senate, that was House Bill 1738, which was our Reggie bill. And then on last Tuesday, it was also tacked on to House Bill 221 to ensure that in some method it was going to be passed. And so there was a lot of brunt force from the Senate to get that attached to something in some type of scope. So it was really exciting to see that pass through. So it was just good politics. Good politics in the Senate.
It's like a House of Cards episode, but something positive is happening.
I know. It was very exciting.
Here we go. We're gonna. Is that a question? Are you trying to get me to dump them off the truck?
What is the top date?
The effective date, Senator Waters, do you have the effective date of that bill? Is it end of this year?
I think we've got it. I don't remember. I think it's into January 15th.
Yeah, January 21st, 20. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, we're gonna have some time for Q&A in a little bit, but while Ahmed is very comfortable in this space, he's great. Jackson, what's happening?
Andy. So I don't normally wear dirty khakis to a panel, but the reason they're dirty, you can attest, he can attest as well, is we were
Working
out
hard.
this morning in a gravel pit that's been converted to a 5 megawatt community solar array. It's the largest solar array in the state of New Hampshire. We are, thank you. It's a project that has been developed by Encore Renewable Energy, and Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire was a great partner to that project to be able to connect the project with 11 of the communities that we work with. This project's going to benefit those local communities by helping to provide a funding stream that can either reduce their electric costs directly or allow them to have a funding stream to invest in local energy projects. So it's going to have a net impact for the tax base within those communities. Meanwhile, it's providing greater energy security to the state of New Hampshire, which has a really important topic right now. The more distributed energy projects we have centralized, the greater energy security we have within our state, because those types of electron productions are not influenced by global situations like we're dealing with now to the same degree. So I'm very excited and optimistic that that is just sort of the beginning for what CPC&H can do by linking our local communities with community scale projects. And that one in particular is just such a good example of a reuse of land. There was very limited clearing since it was a former gravel pit, and it was really an awesome opportunity to bring together a bunch of people, familiar faces, a lot of people that had just seen it from the highway, onto the site to get to learn more about it and actually interact directly.
We've actually hired one of those skywriters, right? The people who draw, things in the sky with smoke, and it's going to say Jackson did this.
I cannot take credit for this, but I did help organize some key components of it along with my colleague here. I'm going to give him a shout out. Andrew, who's in the audience, was a big part of making that happen as well.
Like, take a moment and explain at a higher level, like, what community power is. Because it's a really cool thing that I don't know, this word gets thrown around, community, but like, it's very unique what we're able to do here, the way that we do it. I happened to talk to Henry the other day, so like I feel like I'm nerding out on it at the moment. But for anyone who has no idea, 10,000 foot view, like, what is community power, Jackson? And why is it so great?
Well, it is one of the greatest transformations that's occurred in this state and any state to come out of the deregulation of energy. So previously, utilities controlled all aspects of energy within New Hampshire and many other places, and deregulation made it so that there were more players within the supply side of electricity. So on your bill, you have two portions of your bill. You have the delivery side, which the utility still controls. That has to do with all the poles and wires and maintaining all of the delivery of the electricity. And then you have the supply side that's related to the sourcing of the power. And community power is a movement within New Hampshire where cities and towns across New Hampshire have banded together to take control of their electricity choices by becoming the primary supplier of that supply side of the bill, so the sourcing of the power. And our organization works together by essentially being the glue between these cities and towns to source that electricity and also provide the services that you need to engage with the customer base and the community base to provide education, awareness, regulatory legislative activities, project and program development, and really help provide a lot of other aspects that are more than just the supply side that folks could get previously through other types of providers. But that whole co-production and knowledge element of working together to create real change that's going to be very good for consumers in the long run is sort of at the heart of what community power is. And it's really providing residents and businesses another local option on their electricity supply.
What I love about community power is everything you just described, right? But you have to imagine there's a lot of places in the country where you could go and try and explain to people, hey, there's a way that we can make progress on two things that everybody wants: cheaper electricity and more choice in where you get your energy from, right? You could say, we can do that, but all you have to do is town by town convince people locally to volunteer their time and go and independently, organize and self-incorporate as their own utility, and then work in concert with one another, right? That would be a pretty fantastical proposition to many, many municipalities and states across America. But it is not here in New Hampshire, because local democratic engagement and all that is a resource we actually have in abundance. So it's such a cool example of a way I think that we've been able to make progress because of some of New Hampshire's attributes, not despite our relative small size and economy compared to other places. So I'm just like we should be shouting to high heaven constantly about community power. I'm obsessed with it. But in that spirit, I don't know if that was an accurate way to describe it, by the way. I hope it was. But in that spirit, I would like to hear from each of you, what about New Hampshire, right, and the way that it does anything, doesn't have to be energy, but what makes this a good environment to operate in or bad, right? What makes this a unique landscape for you to pursue your work, and what differentiates the way that you think about how do we, make solutions happen here, Tori?
Yeah. I would say just because we are a small state, the impact that we can have, the network of contractors that we work with, it's a lot different than how I hear that the programs are run in a larger state like Massachusetts, where a lot of those contractors feel that they're getting pushed out because the efficiency budgets are getting slashed. And so they're all starting to kind of come up here. And where I've been in this industry for so long and know so many of these contractors, I think together we can have such a big impact and serve more customers together. So that would be one thing I would say. Yeah.
I think one of the things that makes New Hampshire very unique is we are a very small state, and two, or I did A and then two, B.
A2D.
Very detailed answer.
Our legislature, our House of Representatives has 400 members. I think they represent about 3,000 people each. So you can just email a representative and invite them out to coffee, and they will probably say yes, and you can have a conversation with them. And so it makes for really unique engagement to be able to have conversations with your reps across the state. And so that's been something that's been really impactful, is to just send an email, ask them to connect you with one of their buddies, and their buddy usually responds and says, yeah, I'll take a meeting with you. And so that's been something that I think is really unique about New Hampshire. Because they're beholden to so few people, they will take your call, they will take your email, they will set up a meeting if they have the time. So, and for making policy during the summer, they're more than happy to have a conversation about policy making the summer before. And I hear from one of the senators, Senator Lang, that if you send them a nice thank you note, they actually keep those and hang them up in their office, which I thought was so sweet.
That's great.
He's like, I keep every handwritten note that I ever get. So
Hopefully there's a lot.
adding to my list is to write handwritten notes
You
to
could do-
thank people at the end of the legislative
Do a
session.
thank you, but then append like a detailed policy proposal at the end of it. Oh, by the way,
By the way, here's all the things that we want next year.
And then it'll be up in the office.
That was kind of my plan, is to send in a thank you note for this year, and hey, let's start meeting about next year already.
There are
Enjoy your summer.
weirder, dumber things that get less done at the State House, I would say. So I think you should go for it.
Yeah.
Jackson.
Andy. I'm a lifer. There's probably some lifers in the crowd.
Woo.
Anyone that's a lifer of New Hampshire knows that we're our own breed here. And I say that in a positive way, but we're a super unique state in terms of New England. And I think I really appreciate that about New Hampshire. At sometimes it can be a bit of an interesting environment to work in, but it makes it rewarding. I love the characteristics that we have, and working for CPCNH, it's been so cool to see like the differences in communities between, the Seacoast, you got the Upper Valley, you've got the Mount Washington Valley, you've got,
That's where I lived.
Exactly. You have so many different areas, our cities, that just have their own characteristics and their culture, but when you can pull them together and do something collectively to create positive change, like that is really meaningful. And I really appreciate that New Hampshire takes a very independent and unique approach to problem solving. And like I said, sometimes that can be really positive, but we're focusing on the positives. Yeah. And sometimes that can be challenging. And, that's what makes the work rewarding here.
I like that. And we can talk about like shit. Like we can talk about hard stuff. I mean, when I construe optimism to people, how I frame it is not like, oh, we're denying that bad things are happening, but it's an embrace of the awareness of what is being done, right? Because I think too often the way that we learn about important or difficult or negative developments of the world is almost always through the lens of here's why this is so threatening and so anxiety-inducing and why you're going to die. And it's just there's a different way to educate people about issues that I think can be a tinge more optimistic, but not Pollyannish, not naive, right? So I hopefully, and you're doing a great job of it, am helping to rehabilitate this notion of good news cannot just be fluffy nonsense. We can have a pragmatic, optimistic view of the world. And the way that New Hampshire solves problems is incredibly unique, and I try and tell that story. But in that spirit, you all were joking earlier, you're like, I didn't prepare you for this, but you're going into my question so elegantly. In that spirit, right, of New Hampshire, and it's. What do you do? Come on, you've made it this far. You're sitting on the back of my mini truck, so it's like how
great.
you've made the greatest like traverse that you're gonna make. It's gonna be fine. In this kind of black sheep ethos, right, that we've identified, maybe brace. I think each of you is a kind of maverick in your own way, right? I would like to hear what is an opinion that you hold, and if you're not comfortable answering, that's okay. You know the question. What is an opinion or point of view or perspective that you have that you think is contrarian, right, or your most contrarian or unusual point of view, in the work you do, or otherwise if you have a strong opinion? What's your most contrarian perspective relative to your peers, right? I like to ask people this question because you all see something different that other people don't always see. What is it, Kat?
Oh, me first.
I know you're opinionated. You're my friend.
Most contrarian opinion.
Well, before this. You had brought up what I thought was an interesting topic about like state house experiences.
Oh.
Maybe that fits in this. Maybe it doesn't. Not to put one in your mouth, but
Was this about being a female that works over at the
yeah,
state
men and
house?
women have different experiences.
I guess one of the things that I've learned is I feel like a lot of the lobbyists over at the State House are men, and there's not many young females. So it's been hard to find a mentor that is a young female that is over at the State House day in and day out, because sometimes it is tough to find out why people are willing to have a conversation with you. Is it because you're a female, or is it because they really want to hear you out? And that's been something that I've been waiting around. I had originally started as a technical assistant, so I worked with small businesses and farms to write grants. And I moved onto the policy team part-time last year when somebody went on paternity leave. And then loved it, fell in love with the work. And then this year there was an opportunity to move onto the policy team full time, and I jumped at the opportunity. And my boss had a quick conversation with me and said, "We're in new territory. I am a man. Everybody that's ever been on this team is a man. Let us know how we can help support you as a female over at the State House." And it does sometimes feel like a different experience. And learning to get my feet under me has been great, and everybody has been so welcoming and actually so nice so far. I keep coming home from these one-on-one meetings saying this went so much better than I ever expected, and I had the best conversation ever today. My partner's over here, Dakota. He can attest to the fact that I come home every day just really excited about the work that I got done during the day. So I think controversial opinion, and I don't think this would be controversial, we need more young people involved in politics, and we need more women involved in politics. And I don't know what that's going to take. I don't know if there's some type of program we can work on with the local school system about how to get people involved in New Hampshire policy and advocacy work, and how what we do at the State House here in New Hampshire is different than what we do at the federal level. I got tossed into this role last year. There was no preparation, no training. January 3rd came around, and I went to an event with a bunch of members of the House and Senate, and one of the lobbyists asked me if they execed the bill, and I said, "They what?" And she said, "Did they exec the bill?" And I said, "I'm going to be so honest with you, I don't know what that means." And so I went home that night and I looked up how a bill becomes a law in New Hampshire, and I heard the tune, I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill. And thankfully, there was a nonprofit organization in New Hampshire that had actually made How a Bill Becomes a Law chart using Bill from Schoolhouse Rock that I got very excited about, printed that off, and then hung that up at my desk. And then recently found a 18-page long document about how a bill actually becomes a law in New Hampshire, and some more of the behind-the-scenes work that happens there. And so, I mean, there's just so many interesting aspects of New Hampshire politics in general. So I think a class that teaches some of this to the youth would be something that is really helpful. I mean, for example, every bill in New Hampshire gets a public hearing, and each year there's 1,000 bills, and all of those bills need to have a hearing. And so it's such an interesting process here in New Hampshire.
Shout out to Sam Evans Brown, by the way. Or not.
No, huge shout out.
Yeah, I like him.
One of the reasons why I took
ED of
this
Clean
job
Energy New Hampshire.
was I had met Sam months before any job was open, and I met him, and it was really cool to see somebody who, I mean, he might not say he's a young person anymore. I think he's now 40, so he's aged out of what's considered a young professional in energy. But
Boo.
I know. Hello. Okay, I'm working to get that cap up to 45.
Okay.
I'm working to get the cap up to 45.
Wait, it's happened.
Oh no, young people. I'm so sorry. 45. No.
Now you must experience. You said something very unpopular. You're gonna be punished. Are you ready?
You're all young at heart. Oh my God.
Should we keep going or should we have mercy?
No, please, no. I'll never do another podcast.
We'll do a little bit more.
So they don't fall on me.
All right, we'll bring him back down. There you
Okay,
go.
fine. That's my unpopular opinion.
That's what
apparently,
happens.
actually, is that young professionals in energy is under 40, not 45. We can change that. I promise. We'll work on that. Sorry, I didn't realize that was going to be such a controversial take.
Now
But
you learned your
I
lesson.
felt like Sam Evans Brown was a mover and a shaker, and I
Yeah.
wanted to go work for him because he was
he
so
is.
optimistic.
What does he always say? He's like, I'm optimistic because of physics. Like that's how he says it.
I have not heard him say that.
Ask him about it sometime. He said, it's just physics. It's just physics.
That was going to be my take.
Okay, well, no, that's a good
Was
one.
young professionals?
No, physics.
Oh.
My somewhat well, I don't think it's that
How about
controversial.
like unusual? The contrary is
Yeah,
a
yeah,
load
yeah.
of unusual. That's what I
I
want to
don't-
draw out of you. No wrong
So
answer.
I come from a science background. I did a PhD in chemistry and found my way into this world. My wife, who's here, is the real scientist of the two of us.
Shout out.
Because she actually still works in science, and I talk about nerdy energy things. But where I'm going with this is, obviously, as Kat was talking about, the politics in New Hampshire do matter a lot in terms of getting things done. But I really think that a lot of our energy challenges, they should not be political. I think that from a physics standpoint, from a technology standpoint, much of that stuff really is not political in its nature. We're trying to have problem solving in our world. We're trying to meet the demand of electricity that we need in a smart and effective way that is good for consumers and is good for communities. And I think, we should be working across the sides of the aisle in a nonpartisan way to see that type of work through because it's for the betterment of society, and that's not a political thing. So that is my my perspective, and yeah, is it contrarian?
Well, it's probably unusual to people who don't look at the world through a scientific lens the way you do, right? And even you said something earlier that triggered this for me. The way that you described energy production, you said something like, how we generate electrons or something. What did you say? You were like, we make electrons. What did you say?
Generate electrons.
Generate
I think is what
electrons,
I
right?
said.
And like that's not a phrase I would ever say for any reason.
That is true.
Which is telling. It's how you see things. It's cool.
It is. And for those of you that don't know, because this was very helpful for me when I started getting into the world of electricity, is electricity flows like water in rivers through the lines. So it's going to flow to the path of least resistance. And that's why so many of our constructs, I guess, do become political when it comes to electricity, is because you need to have financial instruments and you need to have ways to connect different things with that electricity if the electricity is not directly being used at the location that it's being generated. And so anyway, to nerd out a little bit more.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
These are all energy nerds. All right, Tori.
All right, so I'm going to focus more on energy efficiency work. And one of the things that I feel that I think is really important is checking on the work that we do at every home. So we call them quality control inspections. And I think sometimes they get a bad rap with the contractors that are within this network because we come out, we do an energy audit, we propose work for your home, they come out and do the work. And then the utilities have third-party firms that come out and actually make sure the work is done up to building and energy and program standards. And I think a lot of the contractors aren't too happy about that sometimes. It's almost like someone spot checking your work, where we at Resilient Buildings Group, we really lean into that, right? We have a department now that is just doing quality assurance to make sure that we're putting out good work and we're not doing anything in a home that could cause it to be unhealthy later on. So I would say that is one thing that, other contractors may not be too happy about, or even homeowners, right? Like, you were just disruptive, you were just in their home for a few weeks doing work, like they don't want somebody to come back in. But I think that's where the proof is in the pudding, to see that there is a right way to do things, there is a right way to insulate a home and a proper way of doing that. And so I would say I appreciate that they have those third-party inspections, and I think that they should continue, because it just goes to show that there's a right and a wrong way of doing this work.
I like that.
Yeah.
You've probably seen some pretty bang up, well, put it this way, I live in a town where there's no local zoning, right? Or there is, but there's no enforcement effectively of the code. So, this can be great if you're a really handy type and you know what you're doing, but if you're not, it's like, oh, who knows what can happen.
Right.
So, have you seen some pretty interesting
I've
choices insulation wise?
Maybe not so much pictures, but usually experiences from customers. Like, I had this, a contractor come through, and I would say the other aspect, not to knock on the contractors that are in the program, because they're all vetted and they're all BPI certified, hopefully, and they have their certifications. But maybe a smaller entity that doesn't care so much about efficiency and building science principles and why we're doing the way that we're doing things. Those are the experiences that we hear that don't go so well, or different certain insulation applications that are actually going to make the home unsafe later, things like that. So definitely I've heard a lot and seen a lot, and we just are trying to be different and make sure we're putting out good quality work.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, should we talk about the K-Truck now?
Take a K-Truck break. It's like a Kit Kat
this
break.
Thing that we're on. I think you're owed an explanation. I mean, there is no real reason. I wanted to drive this down here, so this is my truck. This is one of these Japanese mini trucks. They're also known as K-Trucks. And I wanted to bring it here because for me, the K-Truck is a kind of silly, but hopefully not completely off-base analog for how I like to think about energy, right? This is a Japanese made, right, manufactured, okay? It's designed for roads, in like rural Japan. And K-Trucks have happened to like develop this surprisingly large secondary market in the United States. Like, they've just gone gangbusters because they're freakishly useful in all these ways that you can't expect or predict, right? So it's not so different from energy, right? In that, like, you might have a view for how people are going to use it or what they're going to need it for, but you really can't predict the infinite, potential use and creativity that people will need. So it's good that it exists in its own virtues and merits, right? It's also just a little bit fun and weird, right? And it reminds me that, not only is energy an international thing, right? It's a globally experienced phenomenon, this transition that we're going through, right? Again, this is Japanese, we're here in America, but we can have a little bit of fun, like we have a little bit of agency in how, we experience and pursue the energy transition, right? And the way that we often look at these issues is either through the lens of what can individuals do or what can we collectively do, right? And as much as I love K-Trucks and as much as I would like, however silly it is, to mandate that everyone gets a K-Truck when they get their driver's license, right? I can't do that. I cannot, make that the rule. But there are things that I can do as an individual, to move the needle on issues I care about. And then there are other ways in which it probably makes more sense for me to think of, okay, what's my collective impact? What's, a way that I, as a member of a group, can pursue something. So if you wanted everyone here to leave with, kind of one thing that they could do in their own lives to move the needle on energy, make the transition happen faster, better, more efficiently, or even more fun, what would you want them to know, from your corner of the space? Kat, you have to direct it.
I would say get involved. A lot of towns have an energy committee. If your town does not have an energy committee, we are more than happy to help connect you and help form an energy committee. I have a friend who was unable to make it here tonight, Elise, and she joined the energy committee in Concord over here with Rob Warner. And it is a great way to get projects done at the local level. A lot of towns have built solar arrays on their local library or fire department. and these benefits are passed on to the tax base. And so there's a lot of important projects that can be done when you actually get involved at your local level. New Hampshire has, I want to say, is it 242 communities? I could be wrong, I could be making that up. But we have so many communities, and so it is really important to actually just get involved at the local level. Volunteer for an organization that is involved at the local level. I think that your voice in New Hampshire really does matter. So I think you really can make an impact.
I mean, that's a good one. Yeah. Tori, what's going on?
I'd echo that. I would say get involved. Just be interested in learning more. I think I would say get an energy audit of your home. Be mindful of what you're doing in your day to day to reduce your dependency on energy. And the world is your oyster, right? Like, just learn more about these issues and see how you can become more involved.
Everyone here is doing great because they're all here. Seriously. I mean, we're kind of preaching to the choir in the way you all took time out of your week on a beautiful day to be here and learn about these issues. So you're doing an amazing job. I sort of echo the involvement on the local level. I come from a local planning background professionally, and so much of the work that we got done in Dover, actually, with the city of Dover, was due to local community members, volunteers having some time and passion for a project that really moved the needle for staff to implement and see things through. And we're really taking a lot of direction when you work in that environment from the community members, as you should be. And there are so many opportunities, even if you have an hour a month. And I know life is really busy, but it's very rewarding. If you're able to have a voice at the table with some of your local decision making. And it's not just an energy committee. There's a lot of different local bodies that have a big impact on the energy space. That's your planning board, that's your zoning board. So it goes beyond sort of just what you would typically think of an energy group when it comes to being able to make a difference. But like I said, great first step.
Kai, you can jump in.
One more thing is, like I said earlier, hearings in New Hampshire, they're public hearings. So you can just show up and testify on a bill. Or you can submit written testimony online in support or in opposition of a bill. And so your voice can be heard over at the State House. And so that's something that's, I think, unique too. Outside of energy work, I'm also involved in bike advocacy. So a few weeks ago, when I was in Concord, I just went and testified on a bike-related bill. And so you can just show up and talk and have some testimony, and you can submit some written testimony and testify briefly under 3 minutes. And so your voice really can make a difference.
What do they say? You can just do things? That's a phrase that is making its way around. Has anyone heard that phrase? You could just do... Okay, this guy has. One person. You're a good example of that. Thank you. All right, one more question for you all before I think we open it up to Q&A. So be thinking of your questions if you have any.
Yeah, that's super unprepped.
What's unprepped?
No, I mean, like us just getting Q&A from the audience.
It's
like, that's
gonna be
completely
fine.
Yeah, I know.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, thank you.
Now
They're
you're
all
prepared.
so nice. You already answered like 3 questions.
That's true.
Yeah, it's mindset. Okay, well, I think you're all partnered up, so this will be interesting. Like, you actually gave a funny example of this earlier. You go home at the end of the day, right? Maybe Dakota wants to hear. He seems great. I'm sure he does. But like, there's this trope that people have of like people in their lives, whether there's close friends, spouses, partners, etc., right? You live your work all the time. You're interested in it. You live it, you breathe it. And there might be things that you find fascinating about it that, you don't always get the chance to talk about in full detail to other people in your life because they're like, oh yeah, I know. Like my wife is tired of hearing about Granite Goodness, for example. Every day I'm like, oh my God, there's so much cool stuff. And she's great. She's extremely supportive. She loves it. But I don't get to fully flesh out, like, because it's just, I want to hear about her day, et cetera, right? So this is your carte blanche moment. Like, if there's anything that you really just want people to know or nerd out about or be like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing. I never get the chance to talk about it. Or even just a thing that you think people don't know much about. Doesn't even have to be optimistic. This is your moment. If you don't have something, that's okay. Tori.
Yeah, not to throw shade at my best friend, but I was hanging out with her this weekend and I was telling her about tonight and that I was nervous because we didn't have questions, or we thought we didn't have questions.
They went to spam.
They went to
all went to
spam.
They did go to
So I was
spam,
looking
can
at that
confirm.
before. And she's like, well, how many, like, do people even care? Like, are people even going to show up? Like, will people even be there? And I kind of was like, like, I felt like I got bitch slapped a little bit. I'm like, of course people care. And I think it's hard for me because I care so much and I'm in this world every day seeing these projects that she kind of pissed me off a little bit. But I guess I would just say, listen to other people and listen to other people's opinions and experiences, and you'll find so many things that you didn't know about before. So I would just say, dive in and get your feet wet and learn more.
What's your friend's first name?
Savannah.
Can you all share with Savannah how much you care about energy?
Please do.
Make noise.
Thanks all.
There you go. Kat.
What's something that I nerd out on?
Okay, Jackson. What's
okay,
something?
Jackson, go. Jackson.
I was hoping you would answer first, honestly. But
If you don't have an answer, it's fine.
Mine wasn't really like.
No, yours was great. Yours is perfect.
what do I wish people would ask me?
I mean, your wife happens to be right there.
She is.
This is your. She's like, no, I'm done.
Look at it.
I don't know. What are you sick of me talking about?
She's like everything.
Captive audience. All right, Kat, do you have something? It's fine if you don't. This is an unusual question. I just want, like, this is your soapbox moment before we open it up. That's all it is. But if you don't have one, we can get right into questions. It'll come to you. If it comes to
Let's
you
go to
later.
questions.
Okay.
I'm gonna. Yeah.
If it comes to you holding the mics, who's got some questions for these illustrious panelists? Nobody. Oh, here we go. Hey.
All right, so on the subject of local engagement, if you're already involved and you feel like you're the only one that really wants to push, like, let's say, solar forward in your community, what are some of the early steps you should be taking to get going?
I would say, honestly, reach out to Clean Energy New Hampshire. We have local energy circuit riders whose entire job is to work with communities to get projects built, whether that's with federal funding, state funding, or helping get an energy committee off the ground, helping put together some type of presentation, going to a select board meeting, going to an energy committee meeting, and being a voice there as well. I would be more than happy to connect you or anyone else with one of our lovely circuit riders. They're the boots on the ground. One of the bills that we were working on this year, we needed municipal voices, and they managed to get the signatures from 55 towns to sign in support of a bill that we were supporting. And so they get so much work done. So I would say, honestly, reach out to them.
Maybe just ask other people who have gone through those experiences too. I think the proof is in the pudding is what I always say. And when we hear all the good feedback that we get from projects that we do, then we can share that. And I think that kind of helps get everybody on board.
We got another question here.
Okay, my question, same, but different for the threes of yous. So for Tori, if a homeowner wanted to get an energy audit at their home and start the process, who do they reach out to? Where do they begin? For Kat, it's a newly formed energy committee, and they're looking on how to get funding for a program to get something off the ground. How do they get in touch with Clean Energy New Hampshire, and where do they start? And I'm a community, and I want to start community power. Where do you begin? And what's the process to join?
I would say they can contact Resilient Buildings Group. NewHampshireSaves.com is a great resource, and you'll see all the list of vetted contractors. We are one of them, so there is a pretty big list on that website, and it would start by just collecting your fuel usage for your home, seeing if your home qualifies. But it's not just about the program, too, right? There's a benefit of doing this work even if you don't qualify for the programs and the rebates, and we can kind of help you navigate all of that. So contact us at Resilient Buildings Group, or you can go to New Hampshire Saves, and you can find us on the website as well.
I would say reach out to Sarah Brock. She's our Energy Circuit Rider Program Director, or reach out to myself. I'm happy to connect somebody with whomever they need to reach out to in the organization. But Sarah Brock leads the Energy Circuit Rider Program, and so she can connect you with the circuit rider in your area. And if you do not currently have a circuit rider in your area, a lot of times she takes on those projects as well.
Yeah, thanks for the questions, Madeline. Kind of similar line of thinking here. You know, anyone that's interested in learning more about bringing community power to their community, you can certainly welcome to get in touch with myself. My colleague Andrew Hatch is also here, and we can tell you all about the process. But really, it typically starts with an energy committee exploring their options and then making a recommendation to their select board or town council to adopt our joint powers agreement, which then makes them a member. There's no obligations at that point. They're able to engage with our membership and learn more about the process. And then there's sort of a multi-step process towards actually launching a program and enrolling customers. But we do a full stop support of all that, and I couldn't do it without the person sitting next to you. So,
Woohoo!
All right, another question.
So this is a little more fun and personal.
Please.
But on topic, I promise. I was reminded by Andy when I got here that I'm all about books and literature. But actually it's all pop culture because I'm a nerd. Or intellectual badass. My question is, you were talking about teaching, the younger people about this, and my question for you, each of you, is what is your favorite book or media representation that accurately reflects what you want to get across to the next generation? And it can be nonfiction or fiction. Go.
So Energy Week this year actually has a book and movie and video game list that you can access on the website with all these energy-themed media types. It's cool. It's a new feature. The addition that I put on there is, I'm a bit of a video game nerd. My wife can attest, she also is Subnautica. And there's a second one coming out. If you've never looked into it, it's pretty cool. You are basically surviving on an alien planet, but you're doing so in a sustainable way with all different types of energy. There's bioreactors, there's solar generation, there's, I don't know. The list goes on, but it's nerdy, it's unique, it's cool, it teaches you about the tech, and so yeah, that's my take there.
Not a book, but a podcast. Outside In on New Hampshire Public Radio has a series about how people interact with the natural world. And there's a number of podcast episodes about energy specifically. It's interesting to hear about how things have changed, but also how much has actually stayed the same since 2016 when the podcast started. And so I think that's an interesting way. I like listening to a podcast on my way to and from Concord each day. So I think it's easily digestible, very interesting. So I'd recommend that as a medium.
I don't think I have a specific one in mind, but what I do enjoy is getting like all the newsletter roundups, like Northeast and U.S. Energy News. I think that's a really good way for me to kind of see what's going on, and I can pick and choose which article I'm most interested in. So I would probably say that.
Granite Goodness on Substack.
Oh, stop.
Shout out.
Shout out.
GraniteGoodness.com. Well, that's all real. It's all real stories. I want to throw one in there because I like the question. Speaking of video games, we do need more like optimistic sci-fi. I feel very strongly about that, and there's many examples. But the vanity plate for this truck is the word Junimo, okay? It's from a video game called Stardew Valley, which is this, very silly but popular game. It's like a farming simulator, which sounds boring, but it's really not. It's the whole story of how the game got made was this like lone guy, but then he did it and it became a smash hit, and there's this whole great community. And long story short, the story of the game is like you find out you inherited a farm in the middle of nowhere, and then you move there, and it's like, whoa, this is a wonderful life, and it's kind of a celebration of what can be great about rural life, right? And it's like kind of loosely based in America, but like not, it can be anywhere. Anyway, there are these like little spirits that help you like do positive things, and they're called Junimos. And that's literally what I got the vanity plate for my truck to be, because I like the game so much. So Stardew Valley, if you ever want, a fun kind of, you like it. If you know, you know. We got a question from Oliver.
Yes. Contrary to my predecessor's question, this one's going to be much more technical and wonky. It's probably directed to Jackson, just fair warning. You used the analogy earlier about how electricity is effectively like water. It flows through the grid and it goes wherever. I like to say it's agnostic. But what happens when the grid or the hose gets too small? So I guess what I'm asking is, what do you see for the future of transmission upgrades, transmission infrastructure in the state? You can tie BESS into that if you want. You hit on DG, but at the end of the day, transmission's everything in my book.
Yeah, that's a big question. It's an important question. I think we absolutely, with the movement towards electrification and the demand for things like data centers.
I'm sorry, I actually just ripped my pants.
He did.
Really
I'll get
did.
to your question in a moment.
It was not on the front. Look at that.
Oh no.
Oh man, you can't make it up.
The rip.
That was just a nice. My butt was going like wow.
I hope those weren't your favorite jeans.
You wanted this to be such a scientific question too. Remember what I said earlier?
Now you have to make the pants analogy.
I know.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean
This is live, everybody.
So, transmission. We absolutely are going to need to see some upgrades there. There's no doubt about it. But I am hopeful that with the growth of distributed energy, with the growth of battery capabilities and battery deployments, that we can reduce the congestion on transmission lines and therefore relieve some of the need for those upgrades that would otherwise have to take place. That will create a more sustainable local energy economy and also prevent costs that would need to be recouped on the transmission and distribution side of the bill. So, yeah, no doubt there's going to have to be some upgrades that happen there over time. But to the extent that, organizations like really all of ours are working in the spaces of energy efficiency, local distributed energy deployments, and making a system that works for consumers, we can sort of relieve some of that. And I repeated myself there, but you get the point. Yeah.
And you managed to keep pants out of it.
I did keep pants out of it. I was
can't
trying
believe
to
that
think of
actually just
something
happened.
on the fly.
That was good.
Booyah.
So it piggybacks a little bit on the transmission upgrades, battery energy storage systems. But if you look at other places in the country, ERCOT, other markets where energy is available, do you see anything like that happening in New England anytime in the near future, where we can start to maybe price into some of the renewable energy intermittency that we might see near term that makes it a more palatable solution for everybody?
Absolutely. Yeah. At CPC&H, we have our New Hampshire Energy Forward vision that we're working towards. And as part of that vision, we foresee things like time of use rates playing a role, things like being people able to peak shave with their batteries. Potentially we could see EVs in a vehicle to grid capacity. There's all these options on the horizon. We're starting to make some progress with Unitil, which is one of the utilities in the state, actually. They reached a settlement agreement where they're partnering us to roll out some studies on time of use rates and advanced metering infrastructure to look at, can an organization like ours really treat solar production as a load reducer? And without getting into the weeds of that, it would basically allow us to purchase supply from one neighbor from another neighbor's solar panels directly and make that linkage, which is not something we're currently able to do effectively because we don't have the data. And really, again, going back to that science background, it's like to do anything advanced, you need the information to be able to do it. And so making progress towards having better access to metering data is a first initial step. And I do see some positive momentum in that space, albeit it's slower than maybe some would like.
All right. Anything else to add? Closing thoughts? 10 seconds.
You're the man.
Oh, thanks. We're going to do a round of applause in a moment.
We have Energy Week has over 30 events this week, so if this is your only one, you should sign up for another one. We have events all over the state. Some are virtual, some are in person. Tomorrow is our signature event with Jean Shaheen, reflecting on her decades of progress here in the Granite State. We have an event on Wednesday that's a women's networking breakfast over in Bedford. Thursday, we're doing an Observe a Day at the State House. So if you're interested in seeing how the quote-unquote legislative sausage is made, you can come over to the State House for a session day to go observe the House and the Senate. And then we have a bunch of trivia events going on Thursday and Friday night all around New Hampshire. There's one on Friday night over at Throwback Brewery. That's a really fun night. So I encourage you to look up, I think it's nhenergyfuture.org. I could be wrong. And that's where all the events are. And they're all free and open to the public.
Yeah, but Jean Shaheen won't be on a K-truck, though, will she?
Probably not.
Probably not. You don't know. All right, Tori.
I would just say thanks for having me here today. Always happy to talk and answer any questions, kind of be a sounding board on your energy efficiency journey. And we have a whole team that would probably be happy to do the same. So thank you guys for your time.
All right.
Can I actually have a closing thought?
Is it going to be related to...
It should be.
Okay. Yeah, what's your closing thought?
No, I just wanted to echo the sentiments of actually just like really appreciating everyone, again, being here and having the opportunity to engage with us. It does mean a lot, and always happy to have conversations one-on-one, and I love meeting new people that are interested in this space. So thank you all.
Love it. All right, I have another surprise for you all. It's fine. I'm going to try and climb back. Actually, no, I don't need to.
Yeah, maybe not.
No, it's going to be fine. This is my parting gift. Mustache combs, okay?
Why not
It sounds
fake
ridiculous,
mustaches?
but there's a purpose. The last time, here you go.
Thank you.
You may not need it, but you might find someone who may. Well, actually, I won't use it. You can give it to someone.
Dakota?
So
Dakota, this is going home with
the
you.
last time that male grooming of the mustache was truly in vogue in the United States, right? We're talking like, the 1890s and 1900 was the same period of time that the modern electrical grid was being built out, right? And it was the most transformational, Jeremy can't believe it. It was the most transformational period that the grid has seen in its history until today. Until today, there's more disruption, more change, more evolution, more problem solving happening on the electrical grid today. It's the most revolutionary part of its history since its birth. And so, there's a little bit of fun. I mean, I actually just give these out to guys who I know have mustaches, but I happen to have a ton of them. So that's my parting thought for you is, in the way that we can creatively have a little fun, groom the stash like the Victorians of yore. We can do all that without the toxic stuff. And we can build the future that we all want to see. Thank you all for coming here today. Let's give everyone a big round of applause. That's okay. It's a big bottle.
Hey there, thanks for spending some time with us, and I hope you enjoyed the conversation. You can learn more about today's guest and how to get involved with or support their work in the show notes. Music for this episode was provided by the band Sneaky Miles, who hail from Newmarket, New Hampshire. Granite Goodness is made possible through the generous support of our community partners, Resilient Buildings Group, Greenwave Electric Vehicles, and Delta Dental. We're also supported by our Optimists Club, the community of paid supporters to Granite Goodness, all of whom share our belief in highlighting local stories that are substantive and optimistic, granite and good. If you like what we do and want to support us, please subscribe at granitegoodness.com, consider joining our Optimists Club, or leave our podcast a rating or review. If you have any good news story tips, would like to suggest a guest for the show, or just say hi, please shoot us a message at hello@granitegoodness.com. Until next time, I'm the creator and host of Granite Goodness, Andy DeMeo. Thanks for listening.